Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at the headlines. The fate of the national gender policy will be determined by the end of this month. The Public Administration Ministry hosts its Open House Week, which will highlight the various ministries and their services provided for citizens. The Ministry of the People and Social Development launched the People's Bus in the Arima constituency. To our top story, Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Senator the Honorable Verna St. Rose Graves says the fate of the national gender policy will be determined by the end of this month. Minister St. Rose Graves gave the update as she addressed supporters of the policy who were gathered outside Parliament last week. She revealed that the policy will be submitted to Cabinet by the end of June. More from Gregory McBurney.
Students from the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus gathered outside Parliament recently to show their support for the finalization of the government's proposed national gender policy. The National Policy on Gender and Development provides a framework for including gender perspectives in all activities of government and civil society. The students say the national gender policy will support issues that concern all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, including men, women, youth, all employees, and persons with disabilities. Cabinet's approval of the national gender policy would promote equal employment opportunities for men and women in the public and private sectors, as well as monitor salaries, hiring, promotion, conditions of work, and be an important tool for Trinidad and Tobago's economic and social development. The students were happy to hear that the approval and implementation of the policy is less than 2 weeks away. So says Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Senator the Honorable Verna St. Rose Graves.
We are at the point of winding up the consultations and we're preparing a draft report for the Cabinet's discussion, deliberation and a decision on whether, what will go on from there on.
Ms. St. Rose Graves says consultations had to be done before the policy was put before Cabinet. She said discussion is important when making decisions which influence the building of a nation.
No, we've done the consultations. We were at the end of the consultations when we were at Cascadia. It has been a very rewarding process. We have given people sufficient time to hear their views for and against and in between. And I think it is healthy. The discussion is healthy for the society. And I think it's something that we must adopt in terms of the way that we go forward. Full consultation, allowing people's views to be heard, whether you're for or against, respectfully, because that is the way that you build a nation.
Minister of Sport, the Honorable Anil Roberts, reiterated Minister St. Rose Graves' stance. He said the government would always want to hear every opinion before they consider making a decision. Minister Roberts added consultation is key and believes every concerned group should seek to be part of the consultation. Meanwhile, Minister in the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Ramona Ramdial, expressed her support for the gathering. She says a proper policy can only be put forward after all things are considered.
I fully and wholeheartedly endorse this gathering here this afternoon to support the national gender policy. Of course, there are going to be some sensitive issues, but at the end of the day, Cabinet needs to sit and take all views and opinions into consideration, and then a proper policy will be put forth after this draft has been sent to the Cabinet appointed committee.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Citizens will get a chance to interact with the many facets of the public sector this week as the Public Administration Ministry hosts its Open House Week, which will highlight the various ministries and their services provided for citizens. The event coincides with Jubilee Independence celebrations, and launching the event, Public Administration Minister the Honorable Carolyn Sipasat Bachan described public servants as jewels in the crown of our nation.
Hundreds of patrons took to the Brian Lara Promenade today as the Public Service Open Week launched its slew of events aimed at highlighting many ministries, but one public service. It's part of government's aim to bring the public service closer to you over the next 4 days, as the Ministry of Public Administration looks to underscore the caliber of government services provided under the various ministries and state agencies. In opening the event at the Brian Lara Promenade, Public Administration Minister Carolyn Sipasad Bechan says the fair will expose the various services that provides the backbone for our nation.
This is part of the Public Service Week 2012, and it is an opportunity for you who consume the multitude of services the government offers with those who provide these services. It is also part of our sharing the idea of the journey from gold to diamond that is our theme this year. It is only through the interaction between service providers and service consumers that we will know what you want and expect now and in the future. What this week represents is a unique opportunity for the people of our country to become better acquainted with the services, job and development opportunities and general information that is provided by various ministries, agencies, departments and other government bodies.
Over 34 government ministries and state agencies will fill these spaces here at the Brian Lara Promenade over the next 4 days, giving you, the citizen, a chance to interact with the essential services provided for you and I.
One of the booths at the Fair Service Commission Department gave young people visiting the open house the opportunity to find new jobs within the public sector.
We had an influx of persons this morning, as well as throughout the day, right? People were interested in employment, how we go about employing people, about the different positions we offer, how to get into those positions, as well as we had persons who already had applications with us and wanted to find out the status of those applications as well.
As our country celebrates 50 years of independence, it also celebrates 50 years of public servants serving citizens like you and I. It's this transition into the future government is seeking to bring about as it transforms the public sector into a modern one, which will be launched next month. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us.
Before 2007, what we had existing in the Trinidad and Tobago Police was a manual system where the information were placed in books and ledgers. With the introduction of CAPA, all information now is being placed on computers.
You will see how we have been redeployed so more of us can take to the streets on 2 legs and 4 legs, on 2 wheels and 4 wheels, on land and in the air, with the aim of not only fighting crime, but working to prevent crime before it happens.
The initiative itself is focusing on our core services, that being responding to calls for service from the public and being out in the community patrolling to ensure that there is a high level of safety and security within the communities, within the neighborhoods that our officers are patrolling in.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Public Administration hosted a 5K run around the Queen's Park Savannah over the weekend. Over 2,000 public servants turned out for the event, which was part of World Public Service Day celebrations. The Ministry of Public Administration used the event as a springboard to launch Public Service Week, 1 week of celebrations and events as the country's public service marks 50 years in existence. Gregory McBurney has more in this report.
Public servants came out in their numbers over the weekend as the Ministry of Public Administration held a 5K run to mark the start of Public Service Week. Minister of Public Administration, the Honorable Carolyn Sipasad Bechan, praised the dedication, perseverance and commitment of the public servants who came out. She described their attitude as one which will ensure this country's public sector is able to provide its citizens with top-notch service in years to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the public service, I want to tell you today that what I saw exhibited here today, your stamina, perseverance, commitment, dedication, makes me confident that the transformation of the public service will be completed, that we will move from gold to diamond in less than a decade. This goal cannot be realized without the kind of family bond that we are exhibiting here today. We move together towards that diamond standard as one united front just like we did today. Today I saw commitment, dedication, and people drawing on their last reserves of energy. Am I not correct? People bringing out hidden resources of strength, not to win, but to complete a task.
Minister Sipasad Bechan reminded the public servants that all the hard work and dedication will go to waste, though, if there is no unity in the service. She added that everyone must be willing to work towards that goal if the public service is to improve its service.
Every race, creed, religion, gender, and age is represented here today, showing that when it comes to coming together for a positive cause, we are truly unified, truly one body and one family. And the public service is a family. It is bound together by purpose and direction. And that purpose is to ensure that citizens of Trinidad and Tobago receive excellent service delivery, no matter what service they seek from the government.
It wasn't all hard work and exercise, though, as the crowd was entertained by some talented men and women. And those who weren't entertained by that found other ways to entertain themselves. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Public Administration has extended the deadline for nominations for outstanding public servants to Thursday, June 21st. If you have not nominated anyone as yet, now is your opportunity. Remember that your nominee should meet the following criteria: maintained a track record of public service excellence, demonstrated leadership and innovation that has enhanced public service efficiency, transparency, and effectiveness, exhibited high standards of professional ethics, dedication, and commitment to customer satisfaction, inspired greater levels of integrity and accountability among their fellow public officers, and been employed in the public service, not contracted service, for at least 15 years, continuous or not. You can use the online facilities at the Ministry's website, that's www.mpa.gov.tt, or send it to publicserviceaward@mpa.gov.tt. For further information, please contact Annalisa Gore or Ciola Bilix at 625-6111, extension 2084 or 2082. More news after the break.
The iPhone 4S has an all-new camera with 8 megapixels and advanced optics, so it lets you capture stunning photos. And because it's an iPhone, you can do things you never imagined possible with a camera. So maybe the only camera you need is the one on the most amazing iPhone yet.
The Ministry of the People and Social Development launched the People's Bus in the Arima constituency recently. The bus is part of the ministry's Direct Impact program, a program aimed at bringing the services of the government to the people. More in this report from Gregory McBurney.
Minister of the People, Dr. the Honorable Glenn Ramadasinghe, and Minister in that ministry, Dr. the Honorable Lincoln Douglas, continue to roll out their ministry's Direct Impact program this week with the launch of the People's Bus in Arima. The bus brings all the services of the ministry, including the food and roof grants, to the people. Minister Ramadasinghe urged persons to put their pride aside and avail themselves of the services being offered by the bus. He said the ministry will be willing to help citizens with any problem which they can, and if not, direct them to which government department can.
And we have found that more than 65% of the people who come to these outreaches come for problems with WASA and TNTech and Self-Help, other agencies where we guide them accordingly. It is not that they come for handouts. They are respectable citizens of the country who have come for information and guidance in many cases. And that is the beauty of the direct impact. We are able to then shop you away to the particular ministry or department that you require services from. So you now have a voice. You now have a place to go. You can come with any issue that confronts you, whether you are elderly, you are sick, you are differently abled, you are weak, or you are a young person. Come to the Ministry of the People and Social Development, and if you knock, the door shall be opened.
Also present at the event was the MP for Rima and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, the Honorable Roger Samuel. Minister Samuel said citizens need to make themselves more aware of what services the Ministry of the People offer. He encouraged citizens to read more and inform themselves to avoid misinformation.
All of us as burgesses of this constituency, all of us of our Rima environs need to understand and learn much more about what is offered by the Ministry of the People and Social Development. We need to be educating ourselves so that we can access the necessary services. We can now benefit from the necessary services. The problems that we have in Trinidad and Tobago is that we don't read a lot, or we don't listen a lot. And because of that, simple things and simple programs that are open to the public, we are unable to access because, one, we continue just to hear old talk rather than inform ourselves so that we can benefit from the programs that are offered.
Meanwhile, Minister Ramadar Singh is also reminding citizens that we need to care for the elderly persons in our society. He says the elderly are often advantaged and issued a challenge to the nation to look out for them. He even gave a number which persons can call if they know elderly persons who are in an unfortunate situation.
Let us as a country look out for the protection and security of the elderly in the community. I challenge every local government councillor to form a catalogue of their elderly who are shut in, who are unattended to, or who are in very, very vulnerable situations. There are persons who just wait on some of our senior citizens to get their pension, and they are after them to get monies to do all kinds of things. We must look out, and I give you the ministry's number, 800-4PPL. Call that number if you know any elderly person who cannot speak out for their voice. You be the voice of your neighbor. Be your neighbor's keeper.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Following a break to facilitate the Caribbean Club Volleyball Championship, the North Zone Basketball League resumed last week at the Jean Pierre Sport Complex. Both UTT and NFM needed the break in order to re-strategize and make a run at a place in the Big Four. When those teams met, they were attempting to keep pace with Shack Attack, Defense Force, and Caledonia, and they fought down to the wire to do it. Wayne Cunningham has more.
The first division clash between the University of Trinidad and Tobago and National Flour Mills was a crucial encounter in the race for a Big Four spot in the North Zone Basketball League. The importance of the game was re-emphasized with this quick start by Flour Mills. But the University boys answered immediately with two of their own. That trend continued for most of the first quarter, with Flour keeping just ahead of their opponents. By the halftime buzzer, it was still close, with Flour Mills holding the slightest of leads as UTT cuts it to one here. The third quarter started well for UTT with Kern John hitting some big threes. They were by 6 going into the final period. But the men from Ryson Road would not go away. They managed to tie up the scores at 70 with just over 7 minutes remaining on the clock and then take the lead. The top scorers for Flower Mills were Kerry McMillan with 21 points and Quasi Julian with 18. With just over a minute to go and trailing by 8, UTT stepped on the gas. Kevin Noriega had 20 points, while Jeffrey Harris contributed a game-high 22. And with shots like that, they just took off with a 3-point bombing of Flower Mills. With 16 seconds on the clock, it was all tied up. The rest of the points came from the free throw line, and that was the perfect ending for the shooters of UTT. The University of Trinidad and Tobago putting themselves in place for a Big Four spot with a nail-biting 88-87 victory over National Flour Mills. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
More news after the break. Stay with us.
The Homo sapien, we'll call him Mark. It spends its days trying to attract a mate. Success. What follows is a series of celebratory actions unique to this species. Every Homo sapien has their own way of displaying themselves to attract a female. But things don't go according to plan.
Where the water gone?
No water, no love. Pay your WASA bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
In our special feature, Fulfilling the Promise, we highlight the initiatives and achievements of government over its 2 years in office. At News 4, we've joined in that effort, and each day in our news package, we feature one of those highlights from the long and very impressive list of milestones over these 24 months. In this story, we look at the National Gender Policy.
Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Senator the Honorable Venus Andrews Graves, says the National Gender Policy is a framework implemented by government to promote fairness and equality between both sexes to ensure their fullest development and potential is achieved in society. The minister is also highlighting what she describes as appalling statistics on the number of incidences of sexual offences for the year 2010.
We have an epidemic of gender-based violence. Women and girls experience domestic violence, incest, rape, and other forms of sexual violence and abuse. The figures are staggering. Homicides due to domestic violence are second only to gang murders. 940 reports of domestic violence were made to the police in 2010, 68.2% of which were for assault by beating. The high incidence of rape, including gang rape, is horrifying. In 2010, the police received 215 reports of rape, 22 reports of incest, 158 reports of grievous sexual assault, and 278 reports of sex with minor females. 14 to 16 years of age, and that has come from the Crime and Problem Analysis Branch of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. 278 reports of sex with minor females 14 to 16 years of age. These figures are but the tip of the iceberg, as many incidents of violence against women are not reported.
Minister St. Rose Graves says, however, that sexual abuse is not only unique to women, as many males usually fall prey to this type of abuse as well.
We are seeing cases in the newspapers of boys who are being sexually abused in their families and communities. A young boy took his own life, reportedly because he was being bullied in school based on people's perception of his sexuality. I am told by a member of my staff of a taxi driver in his early 30s who told her that he was being beaten by his girlfriend, who was better educated and earning a higher income than he was, but he was ashamed to talk about it or to report it to the police. It serves to remind us of the time when it was a shame for women to talk about their experience of domestic violence or of rape.
She adds that gender-based violence should not be tolerated, and as such, the national policy will come into play to address this issue.
Having a national gender policy will allow us to improve our legislation, implement measures to prevent gender-based violence, increase women's and men's understandings of their rights and responsibilities, put in place shelters for women and men, and heal the pain and suffering among victims, survivors, and perpetrators.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.